Kia ora and welcome to Cinema in Context, where we discuss all things film and the connections between. My name is Jeremy Downing, and we're doing things a little bit different this month. I'm with you with William. Kia ora,
Hello.
William is with me for the first half, and Sarah is with me for the second half. And the reason for that is, well, it'll become clear very shortly. Each month at Cinema in Context, we discuss two films, one current and one retrospective, with some connection. That could be the same director, the same actor, or a similar theme. But there have been two pretty big movies of the same genre that have come out in the last wee while, and they are Backrooms and Obsession. Two low-budget, YouTube-inspired, YouTube-influenced horror films that were made for a nominal, $1 million or $10 million, and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. I've seen both of them. William, you've only seen...
I've only seen Backrooms.
Only seen Backrooms. Sarah's only seen Obsession. And so we're currently in Sarah and her husband Doug's living room. We've kicked Sarah out for sort of 20 minutes or so.
Poor Sarah.
William's partner's in the back of the house as well. And so we're going to talk about Backrooms for a bit, and then we'll welcome Sarah back in, send William on his way, and we'll talk about Obsession. I guess the two of you won't be able to listen to this episode
until it comes out.
Or until you've watched the other texts, right?
Yeah, that's right. Wouldn't want to be spoiled.
So we are going to talk spoilers for this film as well as the next film. So if you haven't seen either, I would suggest pausing this episode and coming back to it at a future date. All right, William, Backrooms, give us a bit of an overview of this latest horror movie that's blowing the world up.
All right, so Backrooms is, it's actually based on something, right? It goes all the way back. I guess the original appearance of the Backrooms was on the 4chan message boards, where the so-called creepypasta of the internet, these campfire stories that are told on a digital forum, resulted in someone taking a photo or finding a photo, I can't remember which, of an abandoned furniture store, which looked creepy as heck. Very, very yellow lighting, very, very empty, the kids would say liminal spaces. And then the person on the message board wrote a very, very short story about the space, about how if you're not careful, you could kind of slip through the fabric of reality. You clip through like a computer game and end up in the Backrooms, where you have infinite musty corridors lit by fluorescent lights, and there's something there, and if you've heard it, then wow, it must have heard you. And from there, just like with Slender Man from the Something Awful forums, the internet went to work and created a whole lore around this stuff. About what the Backrooms were, what you find in it, how you get into the Backrooms, and enter our mate, Kane Pixels, or his real name, Kane Parsons, a YouTuber who was very, very young. I think he was 14 when he started, taught himself Blender, and made a series of short films based on the whole Backrooms mythos. Each of these has since gone viral, and he's gone on to really build upon the lore of Backrooms using his own ideas. How there's an external research institute who've gone into the Backrooms, all in hazmat suits, to try and figure on just what makes this stuff tick. Fast forward to 2025, 2026, and now Backrooms is a big budget, asterisk, a Hollywood production starring big, real Hollywood actors like Chiwetel Ejiofor. And yeah, as you say, Jeremy, this has been a sensation, right? You have these Hollywood stalwarts like Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Grogu, and it's been pummeled by Backrooms, a film that cost a mere fraction of its cost, and has so much more of a cultural footprint now than poor Mando and Grogu will ever have.
Yeah.
It's really astonishing.
I mean, we'll talk about the actual film itself, but I think that's the most exciting thing about both this and Obsession, which we'll talk about next, which is this is the sort of the cyclical nature, I think, of how the industry works, that there seems to be, and I'm hoping that there's a return to these smaller budget films that have a huge impact, because what a return on investment this is turning out to be, and establishing a new era of the horror genre. I mean, if you think about Weapons from last year as well,
also from a YouTuber, right?
Yeah, and it's like really exciting, and as much as I love the Star Wars franchise historically, and I've really loved a lot of the big budget superhero movies, it's time for that cycle to end, in my opinion. We need to see the return of this kind of content. I'm hoping for more sort of $30-40 million budgets. I think that'd be nice to kind of build this momentum. But
and give us things other than horror. Like, I understand why horror is du jour, but do you remember we had rom-coms, we had adventure movies in kind of that mid-budget frame. That's
thrillers, political thrillers,
Yeah.
and the sort of the dramatic films with big names and $30-40 million budgets that would win a lot of Oscars. But we're starved for this kind of content. I'm so stoked to see audiences really embracing this.
I will say, just, we're all teachers around the table, and the movie that my students looked forward to more than anything else this summer was Backrooms, or Winter in New Zealand.
Yeah.
They enjoyed a lot of them did go and see Star Wars. They enjoyed it. They loved Obsession. But Backrooms, I don't think they liked as much as Obsession, to be honest. But man, they were really, really amped to go see it. It's like, sir, are you gonna podcast on Backrooms? Well, dear listeners, we are.
I think there's something to be said as well about YouTube providing a platform that, there's a potential that you could be picked up by a studio and you could then make it as a filmmaker. I mean, these movies will very likely be represented in some form at the Oscars, I'm sure. Definitely these filmmakers will go on to have very good careers. I can't see them, unless they're Richard Kellyott and Crash and Burn, then they should go on to have some really big careers. What did you think of the film?
I thought it was fine. I mean, it's a bit of a cop out. I don't know. To me, I haven't seen all of Kane Pixel's Backrooms shorts. I've seen the original. I liked it. I've seen some of his follow-ups. But the strength of those shorts has always been just the vibes, The idea of horror coming from an empty space is such a post-millennial way of thinking, right? Like, I was reading something online about how kind of the terror of Backrooms is really the yearning for something that kids today can never have, right? The idea of working in an office.
Yeah.
The idea of a bustling mall. And what happens when you have these icons of the late 80s, early 90s, and then suddenly they're stripped of all humanity, and you have these empty husks of nostalgia. That is scary. And I think that the kids of today are really, really, like, they're taking this to heart, and they're coming out in droves to experience this, because it is something that is new and fresh and unique. The story, I thought, was just, it's fine. Like, the acting is all very, very good.
Chiwetel Ejiofor is brilliant, and so is
Renate.
Reinsve? Well, how do you say her name? Reinsre. Yeah, she was wonderful.
Yeah, I think the material they were given was, it's pretty basic. It's like, oh, guys, the Backrooms, it's about trauma, right? It's what you bring with you, which I think is not super interesting. I'd much rather be some sort of, unknowable thing. But the scares are there, the vibes are there, and I think that is the true strength of the movie. When they first go in with the camcorder, and it's kind of, you're exploring with the characters, like that stuff, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I really, really enjoyed that stuff. The whole thing with the rope and the slope, like, very, very good filmmaking and confident filmmaking. I love how there's a lot of people from the production who have since come out and said, yes, like, Kane Parsons, even though he was 18, 19 when he directed it, like, he actually directed everything, right? It wasn't ghost directed by someone else, and it's really assured for someone who'd just been working on Blender. Like, he knows what visuals he's looking for. We're just talking about framing and blocking in our previous Spielberg episode. Like, I thought the blocking in this movie was really good. The first instance where Chiwetel Ejiofor's character finds the Backrooms and kind of that slither of light that you can just see at the right angle, that's brilliant. And it evokes something that you don't really see in a lot of traditional quote-unquote horror movies, which is all about, like, the killer or the danger. Like, this is something unsettling that's not inherently dangerous, but you know that stuff is probably going to go downhill if you follow the thread.
I love that. And I think, I was talking to my colleagues about it, we all had quite different takes, but we all had something to say, which I think goes to say a lot about this film. But the fact that it's set in the 90s feels very appropriate.
Oh yeah,
But my
I love that.
My colleague said, but also you couldn't live in such an isolated way in the 90s. It is very much a film of today. I don't think you could get away with how he's living. And it really is a movie of today, and I like the way you've framed it in terms of what the nostalgia is for, even for young people that don't even have that nostalgia. They just know that there's these artifacts of nostalgia that, like the Backrooms, they kind of see it through a lens, or they see it in a certain warped way.
Yeah.
That
it's everything's distorted and slightly off kilter.
Yeah, and sort of hoarding these relics. I really enjoyed the film for the first 2 acts. Again, we just had our last episode about Minority Report, and I had something similar to say about that as well. But I think following the Chiwetel Ejiofor character, his name is Clark. I think was the strength of the film. And, we as the audience are living through his eyes. He's figuring out what this is too. Yeah. There is a jump cut where he's been in there a few times, but we can kind of fill in the blanks with when he's showing the map to his therapist.
Yeah, that's so cool. And that's like so logical. Like, yes, I would go down there with a map and be like a Zelda dungeon.
Yeah. Ooh, nice reference. I think and I just thought of Hundreds of Beavers as well.
Oh, yes, his map.
But I think where the film for me really... I don't want to say jump the shark, because I think it came back. It brought the film back through just sheer emotions and cinematics. But when she goes in and he becomes the kind of architect from the end of Matrix Revolutions, and he's sort of sitting there with this great revelation that we haven't been party to. And the suggestion at the end of the second act is that he was murdered. I thought the film lost it for me there. And it sort of broke its own logic. And I no longer was interested, because I thought, this has all become you telling me.
Yes.
And they were trying to do some David Lynch stuff, which I appreciated. But
I like the edible people. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, but it's like
the imagery.
David Lynch would never just explain it.
Yeah,
he would let the idea be, and I think it did bring it back to me when the big pirate was chasing after her, and the sheer terror of that.
Yeah,
and I guess the ending with the hazmat people, fine. But that was the moment where the script needed more work for me.
Yeah. The pirate was pretty cool. Like, it reminded me, there's a one of Kane Parsons' shorts where it's in an abandoned mall, because of course it is.
Yeah.
And Orders is this goofy looking, they call it the Giant. It's like a big paper mache head with these inflatable wobbly arms, like it's from a used car dealership. And it's just moving after the protagonist. Like, it's not inherently scary, but it's a hulking presence. And you just, in first person, always are looking behind your shoulder. And that pirate monster thing, like, really evoked that. And I thought it was really effective.
Yeah. I feel like there could have been another character that fulfilled that purpose of meeting her at the table. That wasn't someone that just explained things.
Yeah.
We could have inferred that this was from his mind with other visual clues.
Yeah.
And there could have been enough dissonance in there to throw that theory off. Things that we don't know where they come from. And I think, that plot point for me was, the movie had done a really good job of walking the tightrope of mystery and pragmatism.
Yep.
And it went fully into the mythology.
Yeah, the lore, because the kids love lore.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you think about Mark Duplass and the whole, the hazmat researchers and that angle?
I didn't mind it, because it was clear to me that was adjacent to what the core of the story was. It was just there at the end. There could have been a tidier way to hint at that, and then maybe introduce that as a clearer plot point for a sequel, because I'm sure they're going to make a sequel.
Oh, yeah.
It was fine. It did feel very Kubrick. Not Kubrick, sorry. Very Hitchcock.
Right, okay.
With the Kubrick bit was at the start, when he's talking to her in the therapy room.
Yes.
It was very The Shining coded. But the ending felt very Hitchcock, with the end of Psycho and the kind of interviewing of Norman Bates. I did feel Hitchcock, Kubrick, nice. Lynch were all sort of tied up in this film.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't mind that.
Okay.
But one of my other colleagues, he really had an issue with that.
Yeah.
Until he found out about the online law that he wasn't aware of. And he was like, okay, I can kind of see why they're doing this.
I did love how they kind of hand wave it in the script, and it's like, we were at an MRI company. and then now we're this. Like, that is a cool idea. I like that a lot.
Well, it's interesting. So my buddy that I went to the film with, she was confused as to who the guy was at the end, and because when it showed him earlier watching the videos, she assumed that it was one of the other characters, and I can't remember who it was, but
like one of the interns.
Yeah,
or?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember that she was like, "Oh, I didn't pick that up," and it was relatively obscure.
Yeah.
But I guess I was watching it, going, "Oh, new character with a family," and then when he comes into the hazmat suit, I was like, "Okay, cool, quite a nice little introduction."
Right. Okay.
And I think the movie opens with the kind of the people watching the cameras, right? For them to be just as clueless was, or maybe just a little bit more clued on.
Yeah.
Was a nice payoff of a creepy mystery at the start.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I like that.
It was just the narrative thread. It was like kind of lost for me, right? I also thought of Hitchcock as well with Psycho, in the sense that, you kill off your main character. And this one, it was the end of the second act.
Yeah.
But, of course, Psycho, is it Margaret Crane? No, what's her name? The one that, Jamie Lee Curtis's mum in Psycho.
My bag.
Marion Crane.
Yes.
Yeah, she dies in the first act, right? And then we've got the sister that comes in. I sort of thought that's what
Janet
they were
Leigh.
doing. Yeah, Janet Leigh. They were doing that. Just it wasn't as strong to me as it could have been.
Yeah. I think overall, the script is, as I said, fine. Like, it does what it needs to do. I know a lot of my students they actually left it being really disappointed, which is funny. Like, they were so excited, and they were going, "Oh, so it was mid. But I think they wanted even more lore. They wanted a lot of the mysteries around the thing explained, which the movie does somewhat, but only in a very, very vague way. As you say, I'm sure there's lots of follow-ups being planned right now. But yeah, I found the film to be more about going back, more about the vibes, right? And they are exquisite. The
physical sets.
Oh my gosh,
good.
that's it. Right, I was just gonna say the difference between the online shorts and the movie, right? Capital letter T, capital letter M. It's all real.
Yeah.
Like, they built the Backrooms.
Yeah.
And apparently they built a lot of the Backrooms, and it looks fantastic.
And apparently the crew got lost sometimes. Very alien, right?
Oh my god!
Going in the Nostromo and getting lost in the Nostromo.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Because, you can create anything on Blender, and it looks pretty photorealistic. But just having our actors there, able to interact with things, in the online shorts, most of the characters are in hazmat suits. You can just render them. It's easy peasy.
Yeah.
But having, Hollywood, is the Academy Award winner, or at least nominee?
Definitely nominee.
Chiwetel Ejiofor going there and being your main guy, like, makes all the difference. And it was, Jeremy, did you find it really tactile? Like, I felt like the weird, furniture arrangements and the things kind of, stuck in walls. It felt like an amusement park. Like, you could just go out there and touch it. Really good filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Cool. Any last minute thoughts before we welcome back Sarah into her own house and talk about Obsession?
So I enjoyed the movie fine enough. As you say, it's really about what the movie represents, which is this massive shift away from blockbuster filmmaking, from taking established IP and just milking the heck out of it. Like, what was the do you remember the new Captain America movie? Yeah, me neither. Like,
I don't even think I saw it.
No, neither.
Yeah, I gave up. And we've talked about this before. I sort of gave up at the Thor and Love and Thunder and the Doctor Strange 2.
But now we have this new wave of YouTube and YouTube adjacent filmmakers. Kids, like, Kane Parsons is literally a kid who grew up with a lot of these Marvel movies, these big blockbusters, and now they have the tools. He taught himself Blender, They have the tools to go out there and make interesting, original work, and hopefully these people will go on to much greater success. The other one, of course, being, what's that movie? The Iron Lung. From Markiplier, that horror movie based on the computer game.
Yeah, I don't know.
He self-funded, self-acted, and self-produced this movie. That's amazing. Just because he loved the video game and wanted to make a movie version. It was in Rialto cinemas. I couldn't believe it when I saw the poster.
Cool,
right?
cool. I have to say as well, we're coming, this is the half year point of the year. And the last few years I've really struggled with our end of year highlights list because I don't know whether it's the headspace I've been in or whether it's just an outcome of the long tail of COVID. But I've found this year to be really exciting for cinema. I've got a lot of films on my list that I'm going to have to kind of grapple with in terms of my top films of the year.
Nice.
And there's still a lot of great stuff to come. And, you mentioned the Star Wars Grogu and whatever it is.
Did you see it?
No.
It's fine.
I'll watch it.
It's fun.
I'm sort of so over these big,
There's a scene
broad...
where Baby Yoda goes on an adventure with puppets, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cute.
I'm up for that. These big, broad spectrum kind of hitting all the markets films. It's like, no, let's get back to some genre films. Like you said, the rom-coms, like I mentioned, the political thrillers, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, and really theatrical release, right? It was so cool to see Backrooms with an audience.
Yeah.
And to have... It's different from watching on a little YouTube window on your phone.
Yeah.
And just everyone live in that world and react to things happening. That was brilliant. And I wish more movies got off streaming and just gave us the opportunities to go to the movies again, to watch the stuff. Because I think that contributed to a large part of the enjoyment that I had of the movie.
Nice. Well, thank you, William.
Yeah.
I guess have a good trip home. Okay. Because next up, we've got the wonderful...
I'm behind the door.
We've got the wonderful Sarah jumping on.
Okay, can't wait to hear what you guys think about Obsession once I see it.
Well, welcome, Sarah. We've just had a wonderful chat with William about the film Backrooms,
which I have not seen yet.
Yeah, it's like a kind of a party game where you've been left in the back and we've had a chat and you don't know what we've talked about.
I don't at all.
And he's gone now and he won't know what you've talked about.
Because he's not seen Obsession, is that right?
This is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Give us a bit of an overview of Obsession before we talk about our thoughts. What is it?
If I recall correctly, Obsession is a very well-made first feature by a comedian YouTuber, as I understand it, name of Curry Barker. Can that be his real name? He's created this really astute... it is a horror. I didn't find it hugely horrific or anything, but it's a horror, effectively, isn't it? About a guy who... fancies one of his female friends and she doesn't seem to reciprocate, and then he magically, in a very sort of Spielbergian or very Gremlins-y kind of goes into a funny shop and buys a funny thing and snaps the funny thing and makes a wish and wishes that this girl would love him more than anyone in the world, and then she becomes obsessed with him, and how that can spiral out of control and go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Really clever conceit.
Yeah, and really well set up from like a storytelling perspective. I love that she point blank asks him, do you like me? This is the time to tell me. And he can't do it. So I'm like, that's your arc right there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is great. What a great setup.
Yeah.
And then that little moment where he sort of quickly says, I wish she loved me more than anyone else in the world. Snap.
Now, interestingly, when she says to him, now is the time to say it, do we infer from that she's saying, because if you do, say it now and I will reciprocate and we'll do a thing. And then, of course, he does that classic thing where he's like, no, I just think of you as a friend. She's like, yeah, me too. Okay, cool. And you've missed your opportunity, which is the story of my life for many, many non-relationships. But do we infer that? Right? Like, because I thought very carefully about the dialogue. She says, now is the time to tell me. Why?
See, this is why I think great acting matters. And if I can take anything away from this film, and there's many things to take away, but the biggest takeaway is how brilliant the performance is by, is her name Inde, I don't know how to say her last name, Navarrette? No.
Yes, Navarrette.
Playing Nikki. She is a phenomenal actor.
She's great.
And the way that she plays, we'll get into it in terms of the different sides of her character after the snap. But that moment I think is important, that we don't know what she's saying.
So it's ambiguous.
Because he needs to feel the fear of being friend-zoned, as well as we need to feel that this is a moment where this could really change the picture, right? She doesn't give us the answer either way.
She doesn't, and actually, it's interesting. You've piqued my memory that, of course, we find out later from the friend Sarah that she had friend-zoned him. So actually, it's all very well my saying, what do we infer from that? You're quite right. So that narratively was needed so that he would go, maybe I need to leap on this opportunity or whatever.
Well, it's about fear, right? And it's about confidence and kind of self-assurance, and the fact that he doesn't have those. He doesn't, he's not self-assured enough to say I like you and kind of risk it all.
But none of us are, because I literally put myself into his shoes watching the film and thought back to a couple of really lovely friendships I'd had with boys when I was growing up, where I thought, I like him, does he like me? And then you're spending a lot of time together and there's ambiguity, but you never ever want to say anything that will play your hand. And I wish that I was omniscient and able to go back and go, what was that? Just to satisfy my curiosity, did he or didn't he? You know what I mean? And I'll never know, short of,
But I mean,
asking.
that's why it's so attractive. This movie is because
so relatable.
It's like the staring at the person across the dance floor and asking them for a dance.
Yeah.
It's that feeling that I think everybody can relate to.
But isn't it strange that it's such a big deal? Because in the film, I was like, dude, just tell her you like her. Worst that can happen is that she'll go, oh, that's really sweet. I don't feel the same way, but you're a good friend. Is that so bad? But we know it is so bad because we've all been there. And it's absolutely the thing that you never want to have happen, so you don't risk it.
Yeah.
So he sidesteps all of that.
Yeah.
Makes this magic wish. And then, of course, because good drama and horror and comedy and everything takes things to extreme, it's taken to extremes. But did you feel a discomfort about the fact that they were engaging in certain activities that we sort of discover a bit later? Do you remember when she's lying in the bed and she says, don't wake her, go. And we realise, oh shoot, she is sort of almost entrapped in this body. So do we feel a discomfort about the fact that they're having sex and things like that? That the demon character, if you will, the thing that she's possessed with is into, but that she isn't?
I don't think so, because I think that's part of the central premise of the film, is that her obsession for him is as much a representation of his own objectifying of her and not being able to build that relationship through good communication. It's like the sex is a representation of the fact that he's engaging with it is showing us that he's okay with it, in the same way that he's perhaps really thought about her as a potential romantic partner without actually communicating with her.
But is she okay with that?
No, of course she's not.
So therefore it's a bit dodgy.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the idea of the movie, right? Is that he's
controlled the whole thing.
Well, yeah, but he's and before the snapping of the twig, he's becoming obsessive. It's like her obsession of him through this spell is an externalization of what would happen if he was to continue to obsess about her as a romantic partner with no clear communication, right? The fact that his best friend and her are sleeping together, which of course gets revealed later on, is like a great revelation about the fact that he's not able to be honest with what he's feeling.
Yeah. And the fact that also every time she goes haywire,
do you mean in terms of this creepy stuff, or when she breaks out of it and she kind of is herself again?
I think I mean the creepy stuff. Yeah. And then she'll go, I'm so sorry, I won't do it again. And I think the acting is really good. That fellow's name,
I've got it down here. Michael Johnston.
Michael Johnston, what an innocuous name, and what a terrific performance.
Yes.
He's very, 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 very good.
I agree.
Terrific performance. And you see him sort of struggling with, it's not all right, but okay, yes, we'll make this work, because he wants so badly to make it work.
Yeah.
And probably feels maybe a modicum of responsibility for it. Interesting, when he's in the car and he's trying to ring the number on the back of the box. Did you know that's Curry Barker's voice?
Yes.
Yeah. And how the voice goes, yeah, we don't really do that.
And then the overlay of her screaming in the background. And I was talking to my colleague about it, and she was sort of saying, is that her soul? Has he got her soul?
It's brilliantly, eerily, horrifically. But the fact that the Curry Bar, the character on the end of the phone says, just because you made her that way doesn't make it any less true. Very interesting point. So suddenly it doesn't become about voodoo or possession or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know we this is only a mini-sode really, but very, very interesting. So my overarching feeling is Very, very well made film. Bravi, all of those filmmakers. Curry Barker, clearly a very, very bright spark. Very, very well written.
Yeah.
And then how we're all watching and we're like, well, how the heck are they going to get out of this? And I did not see that quite coming. I knew that it had been said to him by the bloke on the phone, either she needs to die or you need to die. So that foreshadows that.
And I think she is royally abused. Don't get me wrong. It's the fact that they're having sex, and I guess the implication is that it's a sexual assault because she's not consenting because she's trapped in her body. Yeah, there's definitely a discomfort and complication, which I think is part of the horror, right? But I think that she's so dispowered through this process means that she poetically has to be the one that survives. She has to be the one, though traumatized.
Absolutely traumatized, to wake up with presumably no understanding of what has happened.
I feel like though she's got some glimpses, right? Because she pops out and she's, like you said, that scene where she's in the bed and her real voice is kind of ventriloquizing
You're
through.
right. So she does know what's happening. So she wakes up suddenly and her three closest friends are all dead.
In
murdered.
the room, right? Or one's been smashed on the steering wheel. And this movie really reminded me of Weapons as well.
Yes, it did. Same.
And they both have twigs snapping as part of a spell.
Same. And I didn't think of that.
Yeah, and what I think Weapons does and what this movie does well is that they land the ending.
Yes.
There's really satisfying poetic justice endings for both of these movies. I mean, when he's popping the pills and then he breaks into the thing.
Yeah.
I was like, brilliant.
Yeah.
What a brilliant little setup.
It's also like a Romeo and Juliet ending, isn't it? Because there's that whole, he's taken the pills and then it's too late. And then, I can't...
Because he goes to try and throw them up because he decides last minute that he doesn't want to die.
But it's too late.
Yeah.
And then, I can't remember how... what actually happens?
So he gives her the twig.
Yes.
And asks her to break the spell.
Yes.
But of course she's not going to do that. So then he goes in and he makes the choice to kill himself with taking a whole bunch of pills.
Yeah. She then makes it that he will be obsessed with her.
Not yet.
Oh, no,
he has
no,
a beat and he thinks... No, I don't want to do this. So he goes, puts his fingers down his throat, and that's when he hears a snap.
Yep.
And then he changes. So
and he's now obsessed with her. And suddenly we're like, they're both obsessed with each other. This is a perfect ending.
And then he starts to drop because of the pills.
Right. And so it is. It's that wonderful Romeo and Juliet kind of like, too soon.
And she goes to shoot herself, I believe.
Yes.
And then right as he dies, she comes here too and doesn't kill herself.
Of course, because he's died and therefore she's released from the...
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So the Romeo and Juliet thing is interesting, right? If for those of us who know our Shakespeare, and my feelings on the ludicrousness of that, those young people's ridiculous, we've been in love for 36 hours, let's get married relationship. But, the intensity of that is somewhat mirrored, obviously. Well, I mean, it is, isn't it? The intensity. So I thought, so when people are sitting in a car, and you're looking at them sort of in profile, and when there's a car window that something's going to happen.
Well, especially when it's framed with a big space.
Exactly. Always something smashes through, and yet that smashing through it with a brick and then smash, absolutely brilliant.
Very Weapons as well.
Very, very Weapons.
Yeah, and one thing that William and I spoke about was just the joy that we feel with these two big films made for small budgets, making stupid amounts of money, and what a return on investment. And again, with the Weapons connection as well, there is this huge renaissance in the horror genre.
Yeah.
Very domestic horror films.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot to be said about what it's
a
drawing
lot
from
just
and what's it speaking to.
In a house. See, the house in Weapons was very similar to the house, because they're both old people's houses. Very similar to the house in... his grandmother's house in Obsession. Yeah.
And so there is this real excitement about these movies, I think, shifting the needle in terms of, and hopefully so, in terms of the types of movies that Hollywood is investing in. And William alluded to the latest Star Wars film really not doing that well comparatively to what they would expect. Of course, it still made money. What do you think? What do you think about these new genre films?
So can you tell me, without spoiling Backrooms, because I'll still have to see it, and can I just say to listeners, all I know about Backrooms is Chiwetel Ejiofor is in it, and the only other phrase that I know about it comes from the brilliance of my 9-year-old nephew, who watches all the things about horrors on YouTube, but doesn't actually watch horror films, and he goes, it's about liminal spaces. So all I know is that Backrooms is about liminal spaces. I ain't seen it. I don't know what happens at all. But who made it? What's the provenance of the filmmaker?
So, Kane Parsons, he...
Another YouTuber?
Look, I'm not going to give you the whole history because it's in the start of this episode. William does a great job of doing it.
Right.
But it's
a first time kind of film kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a whole area of sort of lore creation through the internet space that the young Kane Parsons became a key figure of and made lots of YouTube videos through 3D
and is it an
animation
A24 release?
That's a great question. I believe it is, yeah.
Right, amazing.
Yeah. And the great thing is that the Backrooms online is all 3D animated.
Right.
The Backroom film is all physical sets,
yes.
Pretty much.
Like Severance. Does it look like Severance? I think I saw a clip.
If Severance had been abandoned for 30 years.
Oh, okay. But you know what I mean? Like how Severance is just those big rooms, those big office spaces that look very in camera.
Severance uses a lot of computer-generated hallways.
Sure. So
this is, they sort of physically created it.
All right.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is less about Backrooms, but more about the shift or this new type of middle or low budget film making lots of money.
Yeah. And if it's low budget and it looks and sounds and is written as well as Obsession, then, bring it on.
Yeah.
By all means. The performances, and as I've said in many a podcast, Jeremy, you and I are very big on performance, being drama teachers and whatnot, and performers in your case as well. Performance makes a massive difference to me, and the fact that Backrooms has at very least Chiwetel Ejiofor, who I trust and have seen in many things and love.
He's brilliant in the film.
And love.
Yeah.
And Obsession, I didn't know anyone in it, because of course not. But having come home and then quickly put on Curry Barker's YouTube channel, and he's very, very dryly funny guy, very witty, very well written and incisive for a young lad. And goodness, that good writing and good performance goes a very, very long way.
And good cinematography, good lighting, good filming, because the filming in there. Actually, and I've talked a little bit about A Heated Rivalry, the 6-episode Canadian queer hockey series from the end of last year. That was made with a tiny budget, but what they did incredibly well again was the cinematography.
Yeah,
beautifully shot, framed, and done on with they're in pretty basic spaces.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing with Obsession. They're in houses and they're in parking lots and they're in cars.
It looks and sounds like a proper movie.
It's like a David Fincher film.
And actually, you're right. And also the sound was a big deal. I was very, very aware watching Obsession that it sounded very, very professional, and I wondered whether that $750,000 might have been, there might have been a bit of a top up for some post-production on it, because I've never seen a first feature, low budget film, kind of that tight, that smooth, you know what I mean? And that does make a big difference.
Yeah.
Subliminally or otherwise, that's what marks a film out as being a bit crap.
I love the sequence in the restaurant, right? And he's talking on the phone and she's sort of peering across the side.
Absolutely excruciating.
Again, great performance, great filming.
Yeah.
She's just phenomenal. I mean, you're right. I agree with you, though. Michael Johnston as well. He's the straight man, right?
Yes.
And he does such a good job.
He does such a good job. And isn't that, you make a good point about the restaurant scene. She is not a demon-infused, classic, evil horror monster, right? But we are petrified that she's going to hear what he's talking about on the phone. Isn't that interesting? She's just a girl.
She is a demon. I think she is a demon-infused. I mean.
But we've never seen anything in the film where she's suddenly going to.
Well, she walks backwards.
Oh
in one
my God,
scene.
that is absolutely petrifying.
Yeah, very David Lynch. I mentioned David
Lynch.
Lynch.
Very, very quick as well.
Backrooms as well.
It's just a fleeting kind of, she gets up, moves backwards, and then moves forward again.
Yeah.
And our skin crawls.
Yeah, and the kind of standing around and the sort of peeing herself and...
Oh, the standing behind standing behind the clothes rack or whatever while she's watching him sleep.
Yeah.
It is extremely cleverly done. She's tremendous.
Yeah. And I think as well, back to some of the other points we said earlier, it's like he's got so many red flags and yet he's still enjoying the attention.
Yeah.
Because he stays in the situation.
Yeah, but also, does he know that he can't stop it? I feel as though there's a part of him that knows.
He eventually does. That motivates him to kill himself.
Yeah, no, but even when he's on the phone, when he's ringing the 0800 number or the 1-800 number or whatever, he knows at that point he would quite like this to stop or be different, or her to be different, maybe not to lose her completely. But that is not at the end of the film. So he must know for quite so. Well, also, isn't it excruciating when they? Oh my goodness, that scene when they go to the mate's house for the boys' night that turns out not to be the boys' night. She's so good, and she reads out that piece of writing that she's done, and then she goes over and makes Sarah move, and then she kneels down for. I mean, it is absolutely it's brilliant.
And a great scene in terms of the horror tropes of it all, but also I've been in situations like that where I felt like the person that's making the space awkward, or you're in a space and you're like, oh, this person's not reading the room, making it all about them in the worst way, and it's very well positioned to kind of speak to the everyday humanity of everybody in the audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and it really is. And, without wanting to divulge too much of my younger self, I have been at times the relatively insecure girl in a relationship who might think, oh, he's a little bit friendly with that person. And there's probably nothing untoward going on. But if you're insecure, as obviously Inde Navarrette's character, Nikki, as obviously Nikki is, she's built to be insecure and then hyperbolically sort of, obsessed, then there's horrible tiny bits of resonance there.
And you mentioned before we started recording this that if we were to do this with William as a full-blown episode, we probably would have paired it with Fatal Attraction.
I would have.
Was that the bunny rabbit versus dead cat in the sandwich?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And the fact that Glenn Close, I mean, I saw Fatal Attraction back in the day when it first came out, and for us in those days, which I think was late 80s, as teenagers, it was just like, oh, the most sexy movie you've ever seen. And obviously we weren't thinking very much about the psychology of this woman who's like, wait, you are dumping me. We've been having an affair. I'm not ready to end this relationship. Therefore, I'm going to come after you and I'm going to tell your wife, who I think is played by Anne Archer, I could be wrong, and I'm going to ruin this for you. Glenn Close, if I recall correctly, plays the character just the right side of believable.
And she wasn't known as Glenn Close like that then.
No.
And I believe they really had to fight for her to get the role, the casting director.
Did they think she wasn't sexy enough or
she
something?
She wasn't
Michelle Pfeiffer, or
she didn't have the darkness.
No,
and of course now when you think of Glenn Close,
absolutely,
she is the kind of the top of the list when you think of someone in control of the evilness and within her. So yeah, what a great connection.
This would have gone really nicely with Fatal Attraction, yes, because it is about a guy who is not the honourable person in the film, who manipulates the situation, discards what he doesn't want or tries to, and then the woman goes, hell no. Can I just say, and I know we've said it should only be short, but I wondered whether part of my discomfort for before I saw Obsession might be the fact that it's about a girlfriend being crazy. And I was a bit like, is this really the kind of the trope that we should be, continuing to write and see? I'd read something online, and it was more a headline or a first paragraph than a whole article, that had talked about incel culture, and I thought, oh no, am I going to be watching something made by men who can't get a girlfriend and want to write something where the girl is horrible and gets her comeuppance or whatever it might be? But of course it isn't like that.
No, because
it's much cleverer.
I mean, the obsession is actually his obsession, right?
Yes.
Sure, she's on the surface the obsessive one, but like I said earlier, it's all from his perspective,
right?
And it's
so it is a projection of his.
Yeah, and that's why she has to be the one. Narratively, she has to survive.
Yeah.
If she had died, I would have not. Liked this movie,
no.
Because then that would have absolutely fed into what you just said.
Yeah.
But it's so clear to me that she. Yeah.
But he wasn't hateable. I didn't dislike him.
No, but he's complicated.
He's complicated, but I didn't feel that he was inherently bad or evil or bleh. And if he had died, he did die. If he had lived, I wouldn't have been sad. But it would have depended what had happened to everybody else.
Yeah. All right, any last minute thoughts on Obsession?
Well, I had reservations about going, as you know. And same as I have some reservations about Backrooms. For me, with horror, it's always, is it going to be more than I really want to see? Is it going to be just too nasty for me? And do I want those images in my head? And probably my fear is greater for... See, I enjoyed Weapons. That was not a problem at all.
You'll be fine with Backrooms.
Right. Yeah. Obsession to me is more of a weapons type film. Our wonderful Dan Eichblatt, who listens to our podcasts, had said to me that he had seen both. And I said, I suspect I should. And he said, yes, it's the zeitgeist. And I said, if I had to choose which one. And I think he was right in saying that narratively speaking, perhaps Obsession is fulfilling in that regard. But in terms of its, I can't remember the words that he used in a way, but what I took from that was, I suppose, its tone and its cleverness or something. Backrooms might be more satisfying in that regard. I don't know.
I would agree with that.
But if I'm not going
Yeah.
to be too freaked out by it and
No,
have
no.
nightmares about big rooms with,
Look, if your 9-year-old nephew
liminal
can handle it,
spaces.
yeah.
He hasn't bloody seen it.
Yeah.
He talks about these things like he knows all about it.
I wonder where he gets that from.
Ah!
Nah, joking. You know what you're talking about.
I do.
Cool. Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you to William, who's now left. And I'm looking forward to actually hearing what you both think of what each other have said when we come round to,
Do you think we should wait until we've seen the films?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because we discuss spoilers and
I'm super
Backrooms.
keen now. Thank you very much for giving me the chance.
I feel like a mediator of,
Yes.
of a relationship.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Cinema in Context. If you enjoy our podcast, then please share it with your film-loving friends. You can listen to Cinema in Context on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and where all great podcasts can be found. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, which are great places to let us know what you think of this episode, as well as give us suggestions for future films to discuss and compare. Look out for our next episode in a month's time, and until then,
Nor
nor
am
am I.